everybody. Welcome again to the next episode of the Nashville Diaries. I'm so excited to have my guest here today, Kathy Thomas. She is a powerhouse in Nashville. She runs a couple of different businesses. She has Collective 615, which is a co-working space for women here in Nashville. She is a photographer extraordinaire, doing amazing things with that. And then just also recently launched her production company, 24th and 10th. So we're going to kind of get into all the things here with you today. So thank you so much for joining me. I've been looking forward to this conversation. Yes, long past due. Yes. I know when we first met, I think I met you at your studio at Collective 615.
At an event, I think.
At an event,
with
yeah.
Kirby Miller.
Yeah, I think I went with Kirby.
Yes. And then we went on
like a
quad date. No, more than that.
Date, yeah, to the Joseph.
Which was at Denim. That was lovely.
There was Denim,
and then we said we're going to be anymore, and then the world closed down.
And then the world closed down, and then it's taken us this long to get back together. That's what happens
we all
when you
drank from a fire hydrant for a few years.
That's exactly what it is.
And now we're all trying to find the off switch still.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm just so excited to talk to you. I know recently you were in Modern Luxuries magazine as most influential woman in Nashville, one of them. And so I just want to talk to you about life here in Nashville and how it's been for you since you've relocated. Obviously, I have a lot of people listening who are either considering it or who have recently moved or maybe even still just trying to find their place here. So tell me, why Nashville for you? How did you end up here?
Oh, that's a great question. Yeah. And I actually love this question. I think because so many of my friends that have come from LA or New York and stuff and have landed here, their story is all the same and I love it. They're like, oh, it was COVID. You didn't want to be in LA or New York at that time. So they jumped in a car and they're like, let's just book some Airbnbs and let's travel with the kids. They're out of school. They're remote. They're not working.
Yeah.
And then they came through Nashville and they're like, this is the place we're going to plant. And I love that story. Yeah. Mine is a little different.
Okay.
So I came via way to New York City, Orlando, where my husband's from. And while we were in Orlando, I had left my previous career that I thought I would be at forever.
Yeah.
I started my photography company. And then my husband has been in his career for 20 years.
Okay.
And he really wanted to just kind of shift a little bit in what he was doing and like he wanted to do what he should have done first. Like he did his career kind of backwards. Like he went high up, but he really wanted to do the in the field level type stuff.
Okay.
And Nashville was presented as an opportunity, Nashville or DC.
Oh.
I had went to school at MTSU.
Okay.
My best friend was here from college. We were really close. And I thought if I was going to take my photography business and rebuild somewhere, because I built it in Orlando. Okay. Where I'd left my previous career too. Okay. That I would prefer to do it here than in DC, just a close proximity to Orlando where I still have a studio and a home and everything. I wanted to be close for commuting. And I said, let's pick Nashville.
That's so cool.
And that's so we did it.
That's how you landed here.
That is how we landed.
Do you still have a studio in Orlando?
I do. I have a large studio there.
I didn't know that. Yeah. Okay, very cool. So do you, because I think I just saw you guys were in Orlando, before St. Thomas. Okay, so you go back and forth?
We do. Yeah, my whole team does.
Okay, awesome. Yeah. So let's talk about that a little bit, because I think a lot of people that watch the podcast are going through life transitions, right? Making big decisions, and there's a lot of emotional aspects to that. Yeah. So when you left your career and decided to become a photographer, tell me a little bit about that experience.
I mean, it was a crazy experience. Everyone asks me usually like when I made that decision, I don't know if it was like a hard set. Yes, this is going to happen. Obviously, that's how it came out. But I think it was more of like a progression of moving into taking my work ethic and stop producing for others and start producing for myself.
Yeah. Yeah.
And my own clients.
Yep.
Because I've always been a high producer and I go the extra mile in everything I do. I'm not a half checked out half the time type of thing. Yeah. I'm like all in.
Are you Enneagram 3?
So I was before I opened Collective. Isn't that funny? So really? I did the Enneagram when I first came. Went and sat in a room with some friends with a guy who wrote a book on Enneagram. He tested us, which was amazing. I was a 3. I was building Collective at the time. And really dove into that. Then obviously we had members join that did Enneagram training. I redid it 3 times and I was at 873.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
And
So what's an 8? What's
an 8? I mean, we're like the party people, right?
Okay.
Like bring the community together, connect people.
Love it.
And I am. Like I'm always like, wait, it sounds like a good time. I'll be there.
Yeah.
And then my husband, who's a 6, is like, but where are we going? Who's going to be there? How do we get there? And I'm like, I don't know, but did you hear what we're going to do when we get there?
Yeah.
And so I think that transition of who I am happened with building a community like Collective 615, where I'm hosting people that are like-minded, people who are on the journey I'm on or an adjacent journey that are looking at like a crossover.
Yeah.
So I think in that is where my personality and my inner core started shifting and being less of like, I need to be super calculated about my business, how I provide for my family, how I leave a corporate job and recover that income plus.
Yeah.
And figure out that strategy to having a very solid foundation in photography, having multiple markets, and escaping that hustle mindset to where I then had just a very, and still today, of flourishing business. I have 8 employees.
Yeah, good for you.
And repeat clientele. And we're still figuring out 13 years later, like no one in entrepreneurship has it figured out. So don't let anyone lie to you.
Yeah.
We're literally figuring it out every day. But that is it's a well enough oiled machine where it works, right? Okay. And so, and I jump into Collective 615 to build something to fill a void for myself and for others. And I think in that, it is about bringing people together and embracing how we're different but so similar.
Yes. Yeah.
And I always tell people when they ask about Collective, like Collective is my passion project.
Okay.
Where photography is my full-time career.
Interesting. Okay.
So that was that kind of transition is like when I really thought about moving into the photography world, I was actually in the process of searching for a brick and mortar to open a retail space. Really? Because I come from retail. Okay. And I come from multi-store retail. Okay. Luxury companies.
That was what you were doing before photography?
Yeah.
Okay.
So working for literally the number 1 luxury house in the world. Ooh. Opening stores for them, developing staff, developing markets, being part of product feedback, clienteling and everything. And so it was something very familiar to me, but I also saw that there was a big void in the giftable arena. Okay. And so I was looking for retail space. And in that process, I was like hobbying in photography, very hobbying. Like I didn't even know what I was doing. And someone had asked me to do some photos with them since I had a nice camera. Okay. And then that produced some really great results. And then for my real estate agent. Oh, and then how cool is one of my employees, their photographer backed out on them the week of their wedding. And she was devastated. They took her money and everything. So she'd already made her investment in them. Okay. And she was just like, please photograph my wedding. And I was truly like, I don't know what I'm doing. Okay. I was like, it will take me. I was like, when I bought the camera off of a friend, it was on manual and I didn't even know how to turn it to auto. I guess I could have Googled it, but I was like, I'm going to figure this out. Okay. But it would take me like 5 shots to get a shot that was even properly exposed. Okay. And she was like, I expect nothing if you get me 10 great images. And I was like, okay, if that's the case, here's what I charge you. I was very kind about it because she had already made the investment. Sure. I also didn't know what I was going to produce. And it was chaotic and emotional and mayhem. And I went home and I looked at my husband and he was like, how'd it go? And I go, oh my God, I think I'm going to become a wedding photographer. Wow. I was like, I loved everything about it.
I just get chills.
Yeah.
Right?
I still love that wedding today. And it's funny, Ariel is a content creator with her 2 daughters and I follow her on, and it's just interesting to see that parallel of where she's at and where I'm at. And so it was that. And then one of my former executive assistants in New York City reached out to me and said, she'd always said this because I'd always been obsessed with photography. One day you'll shoot my wedding. I was like, I don't even do photography. I don't know what, and she reached out to me. She said, I'm getting married in October. This was March of that year. And she said, would you shoot my wedding? And then I went away to a workshop, not on photography. And I was in Texas and I just had like, I guess what you would consider like a God moment. Yeah. And I came back and I said, I'm quitting my job because I need to fully invest in figuring this out.
I love that.
So I did. And I thought, okay, I have 6 months and I'm going to figure this out. And if not, like other companies still want me in the luxury retail space, I'll go back to where I was. And I just hit it hard.
I love it. That's what entrepreneurs do.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, I literally just figured out, I would have in the building, people would come to me and be like, hey, do you know anyone that does like luxury real estate? So I did this for Tavistock Group for a very long time. So Isleworth. Okay. Lake Nona. Yeah. And I was like, I can find you someone, but can I try it? And they're like, sure. I was like, here's the deal. Like, I would love to come try it. I don't know the story. If anyone from Tavistock Group listens, this is how it really went down. I Googled, I was like, how do you shoot real estate? Oh, this is the lens I need to buy. This is the lighting I need.
Oh my gosh.
I didn't even know how to edit it. I just knew how to shoot it.
Okay.
And ordered the lenses, got the really high industrial tripod, brought my ladder out, went into my first property that was about 8,900 square feet.
Okay. Nice property.
And photographed it, then went home and I was like, okay, now how do I edit this? Edit it, sent it to them. And I was like, I mean, this is kind of shit. But I was like, I don't, it doesn't look like all these HDR photos that are being produced out there at the time.
Right.
And I was like, but I don't know how to do that editing because I didn't know Photoshop yet. And, but I was like, here, try it. And they were like, oh my God, these are beautiful. And I was like, really? And they were like, the space looks like the space. Like there's real shadows and there's real sunlight where HDR photos flatten everything out. They take the shadows away from furniture.
Yeah.
And they really like the color is completely correct all the way across the board. But like you see a pretty photo, but you don't feel something.
Yes.
And they're like, we sell lifestyle. We're private gated golf course communities.
Yeah.
And your imagery really speaks to what your life, the sun coming in and the AM, the shadowing in the bedroom. And I was like, you're right, it does. Sure. And they were like, what would you charge for this? I was like, what do you guys pay someone? Like, I didn't have a clue.
Oh my God.
And they were like, this is what we pay. And I was like, pay me $100 more than that and we're done. I've probably photographed over 300 homes for them.
Oh my gosh.
So
it's the power of showing up, right? Like you just showed up, tried something, and then it led to a massive career for you.
Yeah. And it allowed me to build my wedding business, which I still tell people like my wedding, I think because I've never always just been a wedding photographer. And in the time of building in like 2014, you'd hear a lot of very well-known photographers be like, oh, only let your clients see that you do weddings. Okay. Only do one thing. Never show work that's other things. They don't care that you're doing family sessions. They don't want to see newborns. They don't want to see real estate, And I was like, but that's who I am. I want to shoot everything because I want to take an element of me being on an editorial fashion shoot and take that into my wedding client. Yeah. But I think it also allowed me never to be burnt out on weddings. Okay. Because I was subsidizing my income somewhere else. So weddings to me is I can choose the weddings I do because I want this. Sure. I want, like, you're going to get great imagery. I want the experience to feel just as equally the same as the photos you get. Yeah. Yeah. And I really kind of coveted that relationship. So I had this supplement of income so I could really be really particular about the clients. Yes. I don't care what their budget is. I don't care what the venue is. People are like, so what's your favorite venue? I have favorite places that are really good to me. But really it's about the people I get to photograph. And that is in my family work, in my fashion work, everything. To me, it's about people. And it's why I don't also show a lot of detail photos. Okay. My weddings have gorgeous details. They're beautiful. They're extravagant. They're $75,000 floral installations, everything. But I'm in it for the people. Yeah. And I think having a diverse profile also kept me in business during COVID. Oh, yeah. So when a lot of my dear peers were closing their businesses because they only did weddings and weddings were not happening for 2 years. They weren't. Yeah. I had other things to fall back on. Yeah. So I could. Not putting all your eggs in one basket. Yeah. Do you have a favorite thing that you enjoy shooting? Like, what's your favorite? I do. I mean, it teeters. It goes back to the people, but I would say, honestly, my two favorite things is boudoir. Because there's just this empowerment feeling. Yeah. And that is probably where I house most of my like celebrity clientele. So I love being with someone who is a public facing client and seeing them in their most vulnerable state. Oh, I love that. And seeing them just open up. Sure. Especially when they come to me and they're like, okay, I'm not going to do this. I won't do this. I won't do this. And we get on site and they're like, okay, I'm going to do all this. Like, how are you making me do this? I'm not making you do anything. They're like, you're just making me so comfortable. Like, that's the key. You make them feel comfortable for them to open up. Well, I allow them to see themselves how everyone else does. Yeah. Because none of us see ourselves how someone else sees us. And then high school seniors. Really? I think that it's kind of like boudoir. They're just so ready for the next phase of their life. Yeah. It's scary. It's exciting. They don't know what's coming. Now of the age of like social media and them taking a million selfies, they get to see themselves through other people's eyes. So not so much in a subjective way of being judged or how they see each other and needing to see it. They relinquish like the whole like, did I take the right photo? Do I have the right angle? Someone else takes control. Yeah. And they're like mini models and they're just so open and playful and hopeful. Yeah. And they're not like, oh, but my stretch marks or my cellulite or, this or that. They're just like having fun with it
Yeah.
and then trusting me.
Yeah. And they're excited about
I will say those are two things I
business.
get like super excited about. Maternity photos I get kind of excited about too, because I felt really sexy when I was pregnant.
Yep, I did too.
And so I bring that kind of into that that arena. And I love my weddings, and I love commercial work, and I just love it all. I love telling the story of someone's brand.
Yeah.
It's about people for me, though.
It is. Yeah, I can feel that.
Hence Collective 615. I wanted to provide and create a co-working space for women that really reflected who they were. So it's kind of, I never thought about this. It's a very, very similar intersection of photography for me. And the co-working arena was, I was in the big box co-working spaces here when I moved here, because I've always believed to not work in your home.
Okay.
And I still believe that so much. Every time I decide to work at home for a day, I'm like, why did I do this and not go to my own co-working space? Because who I am in business is different than who I am at home. And they become blurred very quickly when I'm at home. And I don't think I'm my best mom, friend, or wife or daughter.
Good. I feel that.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm not cooking dinners. I'm running in like an entrepreneur. Like, whatever's working is working tonight. Where I love to slow down and cook a meal.
Yeah.
My office being right there means the email's right there, means the business is right there. You know, I joke a lot on a lot of podcasts I get interviewed. I always say, I don't believe you should make love and work in the same space. I mean, some people, that's their profession. So let's just give them the credit they have due. But the whole work from home things, you know, it's pushed heavily for women. Now, a lot of people do it. I was like, this is the biggest lie someone's told us. Do laundry and then work in the same space. Do, you know, cook dinner, make love, raise your children, have fun, arts and crafts, and then go work in the next room. And so I just found it very lonely. Plus, I'm in the service industry. I need to be around people I want to serve. You know, and when I see a lot of people who are in entrepreneurship, especially in the service arena, and they're not connected to a community, they're constantly like, well, what's not working for me? Why am I struggling? Why isn't this working? And I'm like, you're working on your couch. And that was obviously clearly I think something that catapulted my success in photography is when I was getting started, my friends were meeting people at Starbucks or Panera. And I was like, ooh, no, I can't control what the person smells like next to me at Starbucks. And so I instantly was like, I need a co-working space. And I was like, hey, is there any people in the industry who wants to grab a space? 5 of us, split it. And that catapulted me. And then when I moved into my second co-working space before coming to Nashville, I just gained so much exposure. It really catapulted me financially a lot. And when I came here, I found so many incredible women that worked for themselves. And there is a plethora of networking groups here. You know, I just met another one last night. I'll give her a plug because it's really interesting, but it's like a media group meetup.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'll share it with you. It's really interesting. And there's the Heels and Handshakes. There is Nalbo. There is Aaliyah. There is Tennessee Women Connect. There's all these amazing meetup groups for women. And I love people. I like dove right in. But all of a sudden I was like, this could become a full-time job, jumping around to all these networking events. But I was like,
that's how I
in
felt.
it, I was like, well, where do you work? And everyone's like, oh, at home or a coffee shop. And I was already in a co-working space that was very masculine. I was getting lots of business being in it. But it was super masculine. And I was like, this doesn't reflect who I am. And my credibility, though, from making that move to not meet at Starbucks in a place of business, my business grew quick because people felt confident. She has a brick and mortar. She has an address. She has a lease. Like, she's not going anywhere when I'm spending thousands of dollars on her with a service I'm going to get 14 months from now. And so it really built my credibility. And then I came here and there was amazing co-working, amazing networking. I was just a little exhausted by trying to tap into all of it. I was like, what if we bring it all under one house?
I love it. Love it.
And really build this hub, this intersection place where everyone can come and really live out their best lives. And then it was just absolutely a blessing to open up an L&L market where you can go do yoga, you can go to spin class, you can get coffee, flowers, shopping, get your face done, get your hair done,
milkshake.
all under one roof, park for free, right off of downtown, in an amazing 1929 hosiery factory. And it just presented itself for me. And I was like, I'm going to borrow against everything I own. This was not, I had cash sitting in the bank. This was, I literally borrowed against everything I owned when I was completely debt free.
Oh,
my husband, I'm sure, still can't sleep over this. And I kind of dove in and I was like, Nashville needs this.
And they do. I mean, you said something a minute ago that I never actually really thought about. And I've been diving into this also, which is this like anti-hustle, right? Like more of this like...
I'm still a hustler.
I am too, but meaning like...
I think you cannot not be. Anyone,
if you're an entrepreneur, I think you naturally are. But like this more
strategic,
feminine, masculine, like you mentioned that, right? Like when I'm at home, I'm bringing all this masculine energy with me, right? I'm negotiating all day. I'm doing all this very masculine energy things as a real estate agent, right? Mm-hmm. And then you come home, my husband works at home all day. Mm-hmm. And then, but I'm bringing all of that with me, right? And it's never stopping. It's never, so now I'm really working on shifting that. When I walk in, I'm putting boundaries around myself so that I'm getting more into that feminine energy for my husband, for myself, right? And that is such a great point of like, if your home office is there, it's so easy to just go run into the office and negotiate a deal or, get swooped back into that masculine energy. I never really thought about it like that.
But also a lot of entrepreneurs have some kind of neurodivergent to them. So having that dopamine hit of like, walked into my office while I'm cooking dinner and just closed a deal, checking to see if the funds came through, all of that, like that is, and that's where you constantly stay in that like angst hustle movement. And you're like, and I saw early on me going down that path. I love to work. I'm a workaholic.
I am too.
It brings me joy.
Yep, me too.
I'm sure I could probably unravel a ton of childhood trauma why I do that. But I also want to be a great mom. I have one kid. Like I tell people all the time, I'm doing this one time. Like I get one chance.
Yeah.
I'm doing the one husband.
Me too.
And mainly because it would be a lot of work to do too, but I also really like him. And I want to figure out how to get that right too.
Me too.
I feel like I've done some really great things in business and I'm not perfect. I mess up all the time. I ask for forgiveness. I ask my clients for grace, but I really show up authentically wanting to serve and deliver. And I want to do that for my family and my friends the same way.
Yeah.
And it's often a time I get lost in it. I'm equally as guilty. I'm in that phase right now with starting a third company. But it's, I don't get to work out of my own space enough just because sometimes it's distracting for me because I am the face of the brand, even though I'm an owner, not an operator. But when I go in there, I, first of all, produce 4 times more than I produce at home. I make new connections. I mean, literally yesterday I went to my co-working space. I haven't been there in 3 weeks because I've been traveling and had some personal stuff going on. And I booked 2 clients in my space. And I was like,
That's
being
really
in front
great.
of people and going after the business is not happening in your home.
And that's a really great point because obviously I'm a real estate agent and I sell homes, right? And a lot of people look for home offices. And it's just such a great conversation, I think, to have for people who are, thinking about themselves as women working at home and how much more valuable it could be maybe to reconsider working in a co-working space like Collective 615.
And that's interesting from your perspective too, is like, and I mean, me, so I'm big on any home that I have purchased. I need 2 living spaces because I don't want the kid stuff in the living room. I'm not probably the tidiest housekeeper. And so in my commons areas I am, but like in my closet, like, I'm like, is that dirty or clean on the floor? My shoes, there's a shoe shelf, but they're on the floor. And so, but my commons areas, I need to have very peaceful and calm and stuff like that. So I see the appeal of a home office because I always wanted 2 living room spaces. So like kids' toys, all that stuff lives separately. I'm also like living in New York forever, like never having a TV. I don't want a TV in my living room.
Okay.
So the TV is, and we don't have TVs in bedrooms. We have 1 TV.
Oh, I would love not to have a TV
and
in my
it's
bedroom.
in only like our bonus room. And so, so I get the appeal of like that home office being that separate space where you work. Cause I do say when I go to friends' places and there's like a desk in their bedroom, I'm like, that hurts me so much. But it gives you a different superpower when you're sitting in a space with other people. And I think one of the things, part of, I think, my success, and believe me, my success it has not come easy. It is work, it's strategic, it's messy, it's hustle, it's boundaries. Boundaries is a BS word, by the way. But my success is always trying to put myself in a place where I'm around other people, either to pace with, You know, I share this a lot. You know, when you're at the gym and you're on like the treadmill and it's like, this sucks. Yeah. But then someone like double your age gets on beside you and they're like,
and you're trying to keep up.
Oh shit, I can't get off of here. This would be embarrassing. It's that kind of mentality and just like celebrating your wins with people. Yesterday we had we do a lot of education in our space.
Okay. Yes.
A lot of free education and like high level business education. And when I see people come in who have never been in this space and they're like, oh my God, this is amazing. And it's all pink and green and big windows.
Gorgeous.
And they sit down, they're getting this education. They're like, I need to be part of this. I need to belong. The most interesting thing I see in entrepreneurs is failing in the steady fast arena. And they're jumping. You know, they're at this co-working space or they're working from home or they're in this different coffee shop or they're going to this other co-working space and they're like trying. And I do believe like you have to find your fit. Yeah. But you're looking for someone else to solve the answer you can solve. And it's steady fast. You know, it's one thing I think has been my success is stay in it, grow with it. When it's uncomfortable, stay. When it's not serving you, stay.
Amen
because
to that.
You can't build a foundation in your mind and in your soul and in your business. Yeah. If you're constantly thinking, oh, it's because of my space. Oh, it's because of this. Like own it and be like, I need to sit here and I need to sit in it. And I see it happening in the co-working arena. People were like, oh, well, I'm just not making the business I'm making here. I'm working more at home. But when I come in, I love it. Like yesterday, we had a founding member in. So she signed on in 2019 before we even had walls up. Wow. And she was like, you know, I tend to like transition, always work at home. But then when I come in here, she's like, I just produce different. Like it's light, it's bright. They do more social media posting because the light is forgiving and beautiful. Yeah. Yeah.
Pretty spaces.
So the steady fast thing is where I really see a lot of people failing, you know, so if people bring it back to 20 minutes ago. Yeah. People come into Nashville, and I'm seeing it happen a lot with the newer entrepreneurs in their 20s, is like trying to find the answer and hopping around versus looking inward and finding how to settle in. Yeah. And admit that the answer is within you. Yeah. It's not with you transitioning communities. And I think because of entrepreneurs, we have that very hustle mindset. Yes. Where we're like, oh, but is that my next business deal? Is that my next connection? Is that my next partner? And when you do that, you're going to be on that wheel. Yeah. Yeah.
And we have ideas every day. Like I have 10 ideas a day before lunch.
Oh yeah.
You know,
I mean, I have them before I even step out of bed.
I know. It's crazy, right? Why do you think so many, I started to notice probably within the past year, paying attention to how many entrepreneurs are moving here. Why do you think so many entrepreneurs are deciding Nashville is their next chapter?
I don't know if I have an answer for that. I mean, I know statistics, right? Yeah. So I think it was like 2016, 2017 was Nashville was one of the top 3 fastest growing entrepreneur cities for women. But with that, a very small percentage of female entrepreneurs even hit 7 figures. So I think that Nashville is welcoming. I think it's a big city without being intimidating. So it's not New York. Yep. It's not Atlanta. It's not Chicago. Yeah. So those are like our adjacents here on the east side of the country. So I think they move here because it's comfortable. It feels safe. And there's a lot of different industries for influence. Yeah. I don't know if I really know the draw for me. It was, I didn't know the answer for me either until I got here. Okay. And when I got here, I found how much, especially women, and I'm sure it happens with men too, but really want to see each other win. I've never experienced that. I mean, I've lived in Orlando, I've lived in New York City, I've lived in Philadelphia. I have never experienced a city where people genuinely want to see you thrive and will open doors for you, share your name in a room of competitors. It's unbelievable. It really, truly is. Yes. I mean, I think about, I was here a year and a half before I started funding for a collective. Okay. And we opened with 68 members. Okay. And no one knew who I was. I wasn't from here. Yeah. I had a service-based business, so it wasn't like I was moving out of brick and mortar. I didn't have walls up, and people were already given funds to become members to help fund the opening of it. Wow. And I mean, if that doesn't speak to support, I don't know what does. Yeah. You're so right. I mean, so I think people maybe feel that energy. Yeah. The the connection, right, between each other. I mean, even me, I feel like there's this creative energy here. I feel like people are more open to try new things and to expand their businesses. Like I never would have done a podcast when I was in Chicago. I don't think that would have even been in my wheelhouse to even consider it.
and when I was in Chicago. But here, it feels like the sky's the limit. Go do any and everything that you ever wanted to do. Yeah. Feels like it's just like this open playground. Like if you're creative, if you're an entrepreneur, if you're somebody who really wants to take it to the next level and take your life to the next level, this is like the perfect place to do it.
Yeah. And there was a time where it was extremely affordable. Probably the most affordable city to live in.
Yeah.
Like of any city. Denver, Austin, San Francisco, LA, Chicago, New York, obviously. Yeah. Atlanta. I was talking about this. I was actually a girl's part of my Millionaire Founders Club. We just met up. She lives in Knoxville. I didn't know she lived in Knoxville.
Okay.
She has places in Boston and everything. And she was like, I would love to establish myself here because it is just so welcoming. And I'm like, you're so correct.
Yeah.
But there was a time we were talking about this where like, it was just crazy affordable to start out here.
Yeah.
And I'm talking about 5 years ago.
Okay.
6 years ago.
Okay.
7, 8, 10 years ago.
Oh, yeah.
Insane. I mean, I have friends who are buying huge homes in East Nashville. And I'm talking about huge, like 4,000, 5,000 square feet for $300,000.
Yeah.
And selling them for 2.5 now. Yeah. So there was a time that it was just crazy affordable. So you could come here and have that window of time to grow, plant your seed. Yeah. And then if you were fortunate enough to be able to buy property, you now are sitting on a nice retirement plan.
A really nice retirement plan. Yeah, absolutely. Because I help a lot of people.
And I'm very blessed
with that.
moving here in 17. I'm one of those people who bought a house in East that's now 3 times the amount.
I mean, we bought in Hendersonville, new construction.
I know, we were going to buy at the same time. That's why I went to Brentwood. Yes. And my husband was like, we should sell East for Brentwood. And I was like, we're never selling East Nashville.
We are here.
We are never.
And that's where you guys are now. And
we are. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. No. We have retained our home there.
Okay.
We've been in Brentwood for 2 years.
Have you? Okay. Yeah. What made you choose Brentwood over, say, like Franklin?
That's something I probably should not share on your podcast.
All right. Moving on.
And I love Franklin. My daughter is Filipino.
Okay.
And so I've always wanted her to be really attached to a diversity of cultures.
Got it. Yeah.
And feel like she kind of sees herself in her community.
Yeah.
And again, I love Franklin. I love going there. I love my Franklin clients. When we were looking though, our friends, and we actually talked about this when we were together because a lot of my NFL friends were inviting us to come. They're like, come check out Brentwood.
Yes.
And, I went to college here. So Brentwood was something else, when I was in college here 10 years ago.
Wink, wink.
Wink, wink. He's like, I was actually in college 10 years ago. And so the more that time we spent out there, I really saw that it is diversifying. Yeah. And it is welcoming a lot of different culture and really becoming this like little hub outside of the heartbeat.
Yeah.
And I mean, and part of why we retained East is I thought I would have culture shock, to be honest.
Did you really?
When we went out looking for homes, my daughter literally said, she was, Mom, why are you moving us to the country? And I was like, but she's always lived in city centers.
Sure.
So, New York City, Orlando, downtown,
Yeah.
But it really was, for me, I felt like I know more of why we left East, and she just aged out.
Got it.
Right?
Yeah.
East is young. It's vibrant. It is not as diverse as it once was, but it was great when she was in elementary school. We were in an independent institute downtown. It was great, but like she didn't have community. So when you got to middle school, her friends were aging out of the neighborhood.
Okay. Got it.
And it's still that way today. Like, And so I really thought, what would be best for the human she is.
Okay.
And she's an athlete and she is really strong in academics.
Okay.
And Williamson County seemed to deliver on both of those.
That.
So we thought,
I love it.
Let's give it a try. And if it doesn't work, we're back to Nashville.
Have you loved it for the 2 years you've been there?
We have. Absolutely.
Oh, that's awesome.
And there's things I miss. I definitely miss walking to dinner, walking to Publix, walking out for social things. But it's also made me become a better mom.
Yeah.
A better wife. Yeah. I have friends I never thought I would have before. Like I have other mom friends, first time ever. Even though my daughter's 13, it's the first time I've ever had like other mom friends. And our commonality thing is that we have daughters in the same school.
Yeah.
Joined a book club.
You're like, who am I? Who am I?
So suburban. And it's great. And my friends are really, really diverse out there.
I love it. And diversity
and most of them, I will be honest, they're not from here. I
Okay.
think I have one girlfriend that's from here. All the rest of my girlfriends are from, ex-founder from New York City, Chicago, Miami. Like they're all from somewhere else. And so we kind of find each other too. Lots of LA. I have a lot of LA friends out there. So we kind of also have found each other in this mix too.
So, which kind of talks about female connections, right? Like you're moving, let's say somebody's watching, they're relocating. One of the hardest things I think to do as an adult is make friends.
Yes.
Would you agree?
I mean, it's like blind dating.
Yeah.
I always tell my friends when I meet them, I'm like, what's your husband like? I was like, can we set our husbands up on a blind date? And they always laugh, but I'm like, that's what it is. It is. Or I always call it parent dating.
Yeah, it is. That's what we did.
You date other parents based on having a child, and it's probably a lot like online dating today.
It is. And so, I mean, I feel like your co-working space helps with that too. But then obviously being in a community where you feel like you're with other like-minded people, I mean, that makes a huge difference, for people who are looking to relocate.
And it's so funny because when we first got to Brentwood the first year, my daughter would always say to me, Mom, you're not very Brentwoodian. I'm like, can you just like...
There's a name for it?
Yeah. She's like, can you just... uncity a little bit. But it's also opened the door for me to have a lot of conversation with her of like, I love it. I'm going to show up and bring who I am into every room.
Absolutely.
And I am not pizza. Not everyone's going to love me.
Yeah.
And
that's okay.
I will find my people. I'm good. A lot of my people are in my co-working space because we have similar drive and passion and we give each other business, but we also show up for each other's families and everything. Yeah. But it would really open the door for me to have a lot of conversation with her that I never thought would be presented ever, unless we watch Glee, which we do, and I use that as an educational resource. But is like, hey, I'm not gonna blend in every room I walk into, but I'm always gonna walk in with me.
Yeah,
and I'm gonna show up being my authentic self because I don't want to waste time attracting people who are not really identifying with the true me.
Good. So good. Love that.
And it's been a really interesting conversation for 2 years. And I believe, going back to the co-working space, it really is a place where everyone can belong because you can find someone or something. Yeah. We are doing a big relaunch because obviously we opened up 5 weeks before the pandemic.
Yes.
For a year, I was just like, how do I keep this afloat? And then the world opened up and everyone went hybrid, remote. We flourished. But what we really became big was in this meeting room space, education, where people are like now working from home. They're loving the home offices, but they still need a place to connect with people. For me,
that's like me. I mean, that's perfect.
I hate Zooming. Yeah. Like, I want this. I want to feel the energy. I want to feel the body language. I want to lean in.
Yeah.
And maybe we're the last generation that really wants to be in physical space with people. And I hope we don't lose that.
Yeah.
I really hope we don't lose that.
Yeah.
But it allows that place where you can come in and you can either kind of sit to the side. I have members that come in and just sit there and read a book. Yeah. Because I think I don't think they'll take the time to do it at their own place. Yeah. Or they'll come in, they're like, oh, I just need to record some content really quick. And it's branded to them because they've been doing it so much. But it really is that place where like you can come in and feel like you belong and you're going to find someone. Yeah. I always say it's a great place to find your business bestie.
Oh, I
and
love
so
that.
many of those relationships have happened. We're celebrating our International Women's Day. We're actually going to celebrate our 5 years, our birthday.
Okay.
Next
When
week,
is
you have to come. It's going to be on the 26th.
Oh, yeah. I'm
so
there. Okay.
we are doing it's invitation only in a private event for our members. We've never celebrated us. We brought big names in. We've done big International Women's Day celebrations, and it's always been about like getting butts in seats and getting someone's voice heard so people could be motivated, inspired, or find tools for themselves. And finally we were like, wait, but let's just celebrate what we've done in this market.
I love that.
What we've done to bring people together. So it's going to be really intimate. I have some really cool client, or like, you could tell that I'm in business, client engagement, some experiences for people to have while they're in there, but we're simplifying it. It's not about the floral. It's not about the balloon arches. We're literally just bringing people into a space that have invested, contributed, been members, supported the business, and just celebrating a birthday with them.
I love it.
And then we will be announcing the revamp, relaunch of Collective to respond to who the business is today. And it is more bringing people together for a place to meet and gather. We will always have co-working. Okay. But we have found that like the business that we have become is that place where people want private meeting space. They still want to connect with people. They want to do podcast interviewing. They want to sit and have a salad with someone in their co-working space and work, but then invite someone in. Yeah. So we are shifting and relaunching new membership levels that allow people. with different economical statuses in their journey to be able to afford to come in.
Okay.
Because we have sufficed and stayed open.
Yeah.
There's no fancier word from that. As a solo owned co-working space in Nashville. And now we are at a place where we can make it more affordable to open the doors for more people to have that place to land when it's right for them.
Yeah, definitely share that information.
Yeah. So we're kind of changing from a by women for women, and we definitely are still that.
Okay.
We will be welcoming men into our meeting spaces. They've always been in our meeting spaces.
Yeah.
They'll just have access to be able to like go on the app and like book a meeting room.
Okay.
We'll keep the commons area female focused.
Okay.
Because there's just a lot of great conversations and energy that happen with that.
Yeah.
But it will allow, so we're kind of shifting that to where a place where great minds meet, gather, and grow together.
I love it. So tell me a little bit about 24th and 10th.
So this is my newest baby.
Okay.
And it's something I have always wanted to do.
Okay.
And again, like I had said, working with Tavistock Group, it has always been something that I have done adjacent to lifestyle photography, which is like branding photography, headshots. So stuff in the more commercial, corporate arena.
Okay.
And so, but it's always been referral business because obviously if you land on me on social website, you're going to see weddings and lifestyle.
Yep.
But it had opened the door because of clients who came to me in lifestyle and were like, hey, would you do this? Or can you do this?
Yeah.
And so we've always done it. We've just never put it out there really to the world.
Okay.
And I happened to take on a business partner for my first time who is an extremely talented storyteller through video. Ooh. And he is talented and he's smart and he is steady fast and he has the sticking power.
Yeah.
So my baby is 24th and 10th, which is actually my address in New York City when I bought my first camera and took my first class to say, photography isn't something I only like to consume. In photographs of moments and milestones and the story it tells in lives, I think I want to be the person that creates that.
I love it.
And so for me, 24th and 10th is an intersection of my life in New York where I thought I would always work corporate and drive someone else's business to creating my own so I could deliver for individuals with my own talent and skill.
I love it.
So 24th and 10th was birthed last year. We will have a launch party. We've been... I had told Sawyer, my partner, I was like, he was like, okay, we got lunch. I was like, here's the thing, like, we got to get the back end done. Like, cause no entrepreneur really zips up the whole back end and is like, look, it's a beautiful package. Let's deliver this business. We're so done.
It's so me.
We make business and then we're like, oh, we should have SOPs. We should have a handbook. Do I have a sexual harassment? You backpedal and you start doing like, who's my CPA now? Because it's tax time. You start backpedaling and doing kind of, chicken, egg, chicken type of thing. And so I kept on saying, let's do this one right. Like, we now know I've opened 2 businesses. Let's really solidify it. We took on a couple of internal clients. We blew up big. We got it. We did a lot of great work with Serena and Lily last year.
Oh, awesome.
Bar Louie, Lowe's Hotel
fun.
Group. So brands that we really wanted to align with and help tell their story in different capacities.
Yeah.
And so then it went on the back burner. So our website will be launching very soon. Our Instagram's out there with like 5 posts.
I've seen it.
But we've been fortunate enough to put together our marketing material because we are creatives that are it's really solid. And so we are doing a commercial work and helping brands, businesses, conferences, really speakers tell their story. That will make them stand out in this really noisy, chaotic world.
Well, I love it.
And I think that we're doing it really different.
Yeah.
And I think what we bring to it is we come from the business of people, celebrating love, births, engagements, everything, graduations. And so we're able to really tell an intimate, true story with our clients and see that in them because we come from that background where a lot of people in that arena come from like big studio work.
Got it.
Or like very technical degree, art degrees in it, photo and film, where we come from the touchy-feely.
Yeah.
We do a lot with Michael Orr. If you've ever seen our Michael Orr stuff, like we bring his story of Michael Orr into his brands and his heart with philanthropy and his give back for children and really tell that story so people feel it. And I think that's why we're so successful. Is because
I feel it. I mean, you're a great storyteller yourself. I mean, like I'm like sitting here just like I'm just like
I'm always like, slow down, shut up a little bit, Kathy.
No, I'm just like, you're a really great storyteller in your own right. I mean, you're a creative, so that makes sense. But I definitely feel that you are all about the connection. It's all about the intimacy for you. And I think that that's what people want. You know, they want to feel something when they're choosing to work with somebody. And I feel like right now it's like the era of the personal brand.
It is.
Like everybody and their mother
personal brand.
Is building personal brands.
I should do that one day, but people ask me all the time, they're like, you need to show your face more. You should do this more. You should do that more. That was something I'll have to tell you, Tristan. It was really hard with, I did have, and I never want to like deny it.
Yeah.
I had this really big shift with the opening of Collective 615. And even like the modern luxury feature of most influential women in Nashville. And it has always been really hard for me. I think because my joy comes from serving others and lifting and connecting others and building them up. That I found after Collective survived COVID, you know, I was asked to be on a lot. This is the first podcast I've been on probably 2 years. And I mean, I was probably doing like 6 a year, 8 a year. And it was one of those things, but I was speaking on stages. I'm not, you know, I'm not a trained speaker. I don't even know what message I share, you know, and it was one of those things, but like I got hyped in it and my friends started speaking and I'm like, oh, let me get a speaking coach. Let me do this and this and this. And everyone was like, bring Kathy out to the stage. And all of a sudden I was like, wait a minute, this is so far from why I built this business. I built this business so other people had a place to have a voice and build themselves. And I still remember like the pivotal time where something happened. I flew in one morning. I was away for work, spoke on a stage, and then flew back out that night. And I was just exhausted and spent. And I remember thinking, wait a minute, I'm so far detached from my core purpose of why I built Collective. It's not about hearing my voice out there. It's not about why I did this, what I'm doing, what the success of my photography business. So I started pulling back because I was like, it's not, I don't want people to hear from me. I want them to see our members and know what they're doing. And that's, I mean, why I built it. But I got so far detached from it because I got into, like you said, about like the personal brand. Like, oh, I have to be a brand if I'm going to survive. And people have to see me and they have to see my family. And I have to show, you know, what is the like get ready with me in the morning and all this stuff. And here's the funny thing, you know, about the connection with people. And I think why I am an amazing photographer. And I can say that now because it took a long time for me to fall in love with my work. But it's because I film that stuff like everyone else does. And I never put it out there because it doesn't feel authentic to me because why I do what I do is for others. And it's not confidence. I am a very confident person. And it was when I was with my friend Joanna before here, we were talking about, I was going on this interview and she's like, you got to share with them that what makes you different is you really bring yourself into every room. It is you that brings yourself into the room. And I was losing sight of that. And so it was beautiful to sit on that last year and really kind of pull back from the limelight. I think the last publication was like Women Making Moves in Nashville by Belle Mead and Brentwood Lifestyle. And that really felt good to be making moves, right? Because I was. And opening Tennessee's first co-working space for women. It was not an easy feat. But getting most influential women and seeing who I sat amongst, I was like, am I a Nashville's most influential woman? And then I thought, you know what? Like this actually feels right. They were not asking me to stand on a stage, do a podcast. They were just recognizing that like, it is okay to move to Nashville. It is okay to do something outside the box. You will figure it out. If you want to figure it out,
you will.
That is something I think Nashville delivers for anyone is the resources are here. You have to just go out and start opening doors. And you're going to find lots of doors you just want to shut immediately. You're going to find some doors that are going to hit you in the ass and knock you out. And you have to decide, do you want to fight to get back in it? Or can you quickly assess that is not my arena, that is not my fight, that is not my crowd? But it really, that honor of them doing that was probably one of my more prouder moments because I thought if I can influence women who are moving here, who are already here, who are trying to figure out their struggle, their joy, that like stay steadfast. You can't keep on hopping around. I mean, unless you really just haven't found it. Staying steadfast and staying the course, it will deliver for you, but you have to put in the work. And I think that's what I'm seeing different now is like, we consume so much quickness and so much fast that you think it's supposed to come that fast. But the women who are winning per se, we might not be winning in all arenas. Let's first just announce that. Like if we're winning at business, we're probably failing at home. If we're winning at home, we're probably 100%. Failing in business. Like that, let's just be real.
100%.
And when I say not winning is like our self-evaluation of winning. And I always tell people sometimes, like, my best day is someone else's worst and my worst day is someone else's best.
Yep.
Like, give yourself some grace.
Yeah. 100%.
Just show up in honesty, integrity,
my favorite thing
ask for
I say
forgiveness.
to my husband is give each other grace.
But, it's steady fast. I did get interviewed one time, and it was one of my favorite questions, and I'm going to ask you this question because I loved it.
Okay.
Someone asked me, what would you say to like the next generation of entrepreneurs? And you really have to have a solid backbone. This is not it's easier to go take a job.
It is.
I tell people all the time,
easier.
It is so much easier to collect a paycheck than make a paycheck.
100%.
And then when you get to making paychecks for 16 other people.
Yeah.
Like that's my job every day is I make paychecks for 16 other people.
Because you have a team.
Correct.
And a company.
And so it's not easy. It is not for the faint at heart. It's not for the lazy people. You really, and you know what, but it is for someone who can get knocked down, dragged through and get back up
100%.
And find the glory in the failure.
Yeah.
And it doesn't always show itself right away. That's what entrepreneurism is. And I feel like Nashville just feels like a safe place to get started.
Oh my gosh. 100%.
And I love it. And it's now home. I
love it.
I felt like I was a New Yorker through and through and through.
Yeah.
Just because I lived the longest of my life there. But like Nashville, New York made me. And then Nashville's where I became me.
I have to tell you, I don't think there's one person who sat in that chair who hasn't said something along those lines.
Oh, that's great. Yeah.
Yeah. Something similar, including myself.
And mainly because it makes us really uncomfortable. So what would you say? So if someone's moving to Nashville and they're an entrepreneur, what would you say to them?
As far as like
anything, what would you say? You get 30 seconds.
Go for it.
You get 30
That's
seconds
it.
to give them some wisdom.
Yeah,
what would
go
you?
for it. Whatever is in your heart, whatever your heart's desire is, go for it.
That's nicer than mine. You have to have backbone.
Just go for it. That would be mine. Go for it. Like, don't sell yourself short.
Yeah.
Give yourself the opportunity, put yourself out there, show up, and just go for it. What's the worst that can happen?
I agree.
I
mean, and that's one big thing, and I talk about backbone and hustle and all that stuff, but it looks different for everyone. We're in this time of take time for yourself and slow down and say no and all this stuff. And I respect that so much. And I don't embrace that enough.
Yeah.
And so Nashville has shown me to do that a little bit.
Yeah.
Where if I was in other cities, still growing my businesses, I don't know if I would be able to hold up to that. And I still fail all the time. But it is nice to be in a city that does allow you to pause. Like I get so irritated when businesses are closed on Sundays and Mondays. Yeah. I'm like, are you in business or are you not? I mean, I'm in a building where half the building is, the building is literally closed on Sundays except for us.
Yeah.
And Mondays. And I'm like, are you in business? But then I'm like, that's my judgment of myself because I'm working so hard. I'm open 7 days a week.
Yeah.
And literally I'm talking about, I am open 7 days a week.
Yeah.
And so I think it's judgment that I'm placing because I'm jealous that I don't know how to turn it off to close the doors for 2 days.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm the same way.
So
I'm in real estate.
Yes.
I'm
so
on
you're
all
writing
day.
contracts, probably on vacation. I will tell you, I just went on a cruise. I found out I'm not a cruise person, but one thing, they're like, do you want that Wi-Fi package or not? I was like, no. And they were like, are you sure? I was like, I don't want it. No. And I took my laptop on a vacation, didn't open it once.
Yeah.
I
wrote deals
obviously
from the
at
beach.
every port I got on and like caught up and stuff.
Yeah.
But I was like, wait a minute, you're asking me you're offering me to pay you to keep me working? Yeah, I'm not buying that package. Like, I'm not paying you, so I work.
Yes.
Like, that's not how this goes. So you're telling me I have an option to not pay you and I don't have to work because no one can reach me, connect me, and it's not my fault?
You're like, sign me up. There we go.
I'm checking out. Like, when people ask me all the time, they're like, ideal vacation spot. I was like, where there's no Wi-Fi.
Girl, that is.
So.
That is the
again,
best.
I have a lot of respect because it's my own judgment of myself of businesses that can turn it off, walk away, close the doors.
It's hard.
It's hard.
I mean, I'm practicing right now. I'm trying to find my groove there.
Same.
I don't know where it is, but I'm working on it. So.
I'm just learning how to cook dinner at night.
Yeah, well, my husband asked me to do that more too.
Yeah, find the time. And I do it because I enjoy it. It's not even about my role in the house. It's like, I love that slowness of making a meal and sitting down and just the gratification. I think because I grew up in a house where there was a, supper, because I'm from Wyoming originally, supper on the table instead of dinner. Yeah. And so I embrace that. And I want my daughter to have that value. Yeah. But it's hard. It's the same with, I literally, someone had sent me an email and in their signature, it said, you might get emails from me out of business hours. Please know this is not me welcoming you to respond or expecting. It's just, this is the nature of my business.
Sure.
So I did the same, but in the same, I now don't, it's rare I will respond or connect to my phone after 5 o'clock. So people are like, oh, I tried calling you. I called texting you. I'm like, I'm someone who often has 140 unchecked text messages because I have a lot of value in this.
Yes.
And if I sat there the whole time, you're getting half of me.
Yes.
And so if I cannot half-ass it in something, I'm going to do it in small little bits, right? Like, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. Mine is big red boxes all over my phone.
Yeah.
But this counts for me. And my friends know it. They're like, if I need you, I'll call you.
Yeah.
Or I'll be like, hey, answer that.
Yeah.
Because I value this so much that I don't want to constantly be distracted by something else.
Well, I'm working on 8 o'clock. I'm working on trying to turn off by 8, which only gives me 2 hours.
Because people are buying homes when they're out of business.
Exactly.
And I'll tell you, as someone who employs people, I appreciate that because, I think one of the biggest heartbreaks as being an entrepreneur is paying someone and seeing them do someone else's work.
Yeah.
Like, I'm glad I'm paying you the money for my family, my business to pay back my loans, but you're still sitting there doing someone else's work. So I can respect that. Yeah. But something, look at this. I normally don't tell people what to do.
Yeah.
I usually share, like an I statement, but I will say this is something I'm doing for myself. So I guess it is going to be an I statement.
Okay.
I travel a lot. So in the wedding world, I work on weekends. So I'm really trying. And sometimes I really do well and sometimes I don't. Is like, okay, if I'm working all day Saturday, I'm giving myself Friday off. And I'm really giving myself Friday off.
Yeah.
So, now I am working late into the evening because just I need the phone and everything can turn off to be creative.
Yeah.
I am now saying, oh, well, I know I'm going to be working till 8 o'clock. So I'm actually not starting my day till 10.
Yeah.
And I go to the gym.
Yeah.
And I go to the grocery store. Going to the grocery store on a Monday morning at 10 is amazing.
Yeah.
So that's something else I do.
The ebb and flow, finding the ebb and flow. Like, I told my husband I will cook now on Sundays because that I know, because like during the week, it's crazy. Yeah. I could think I'm not doing anything at 5, but then all of a sudden somebody has a showing or a listing appointment. I'm like, babe, I'm so sorry. I can't be home to cook dinner. So he's kind of taken on the cooking dinner during the week. And I could tell that, we had a conversation. He's like, I would like my wife to cook me dinner, but that's the ebb and flow. I think when you're married to a spouse who's supportive of you as an entrepreneur, he knows I'm super ambitious. He knows that I'm going to go 500 miles per hour. So he's uber supportive. Mine too. But yet at the same time, you hit it on the head when it's like, I do want to be great at my career, but I also want to be a great wife. Yeah. Equally as important to me. Yeah. And so for him to say, hey, I haven't had you cooking in a while. It's like, okay, duly noted. I got it.
He's saying something much bigger.
Yeah, I'm too far over here. I want
us to reconnect. It's not about you cooking.
Exactly.
I want us to reconnect.
Yeah, we need to
turn that off and turn this on.
Yeah. And I'm like, okay, duly noted. Yeah. Heard you.
That's
got
really
it.
what I'm saying.
Yeah. And so now I cooked him an amazing meal on Sunday, which he like raved about for like 4 days.
I'm coming over on next Sunday.
And so, but yeah, so Kathy, thank you so much. This has been amazing. A joy.
I could say I talked to you for like 2 more hours.
I literally could. And I'm like, okay, we probably should wrap up. But this was awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you. And hopefully you guys got tons of value. Tell everybody where they can connect with you. And
this is interesting. To keep it simple. So Kathy Thomas Photography, obviously, my party's over at Instagram. Okay. It's Kathy Thomas Photo with a K. Collective 615, which is the co-working space and meeting space and event space here in Nashville, is just that, Collective 615 on all channels.
Okay.
And if you subscribe to our newsletter, you will be part of the new membership launch that's happening because it is going to go to a wait list because we're only allowing so many in with our new rates. And then 24th and 10th at 24th and 10th. Nice. Again, it's still being developed. There's stuff there, and it's exciting to see. But that's really where it is. And thank you to your audience that listened to me ramble on and on.
No, not rambling
this
at all.
I could talk about because I'm just passionate about being a little bit more authentic about the struggles of it, and but also like the joy and pleasure of it. And there is a lot, and we should talk about that more too. I think, and we probably don't do that enough. Is that you can just drop it all and cook dinner for your husband because you're not bound to someone else's business.
Exactly.
You're bound to your clients, but
awesome.
And teaching each other how to do that.
Yeah.
You know, I'm kind of getting rid of the word boundaries, but just like a little bit more in the balance.
Yeah. Yeah. And connecting more with people like this, where you can be raw and real. And, you know, I can share with you that my husband was like, hey, girl, like, you know, and be real about it, because we need that. We need each other to like say, hey, okay, I know you're going balls to the wall over here, but how are you doing on this end? How are you doing as a mom? How are you doing as a wife? Right. And be able to be open with each other to keep each other in check, I think, is equally as important.
I agree. These are my last words, because you just hit on something. I went to a book launch last night.
Okay.
And the biggest thing that she was driving home was admitting that it's not always as beautiful as we're putting it out there to be. And I sat there and I started crying. So did the girl beside me. And, you know, and it is true. Like, I think that's something we need to welcome more of in our world, is that like what we put out isn't always the truth, that we are all struggling